we are live. It's working. We're live and recording. Okay, so this is really exciting. First of all, Maggie, Dr. Maggie Yu, can I just say thank you for taking the time out of your very busy day to come and share your amazing expertise with our group.
It is an honor, girlfriend.
There are so many things I want to talk to you about, and even some of the things that you mentioned before. So if you're watching the live video, you can also pop in some questions there, and I'll see if I can monitor the questions. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so first of all, welcome.
You're welcome. Welcome. And to your viewers, just to give you guys a little background, I am a functional and holistic medicine MD, and we have an autoimmune disease program online called Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally. And our Facebook group is the same name. And what I love to answer is to actually talk about in a situation right now where we don't have a medication that's going to be a quick fix to prevent or treat the current threat that's going on. There's so much in the realm of holistic and natural medicine and things that you can do that are even data driven to actually help with prevention and treatment of early symptoms. I think would be really great to actually educate our viewers about.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, what I really want to ask you, Maggie, is like, there's no, it doesn't seem like anyone out there really has any solid answers right now. And I think that, prevention and bolstering your immune system right now is probably the key thing, because, you hear people are saying, well, if you're taking this medication, it could be dangerous. And then people are saying ibuprofen is dangerous to take, and there's a whole lot of confusion swimming out there right now. So we'd really love to hear from you on, like, from a medical doctor's perspective and your experience with natural medicine.
100%. And there's so much data-driven natural medicine when it comes to cold and flu that we already know that we're not employing as our tools. There's a whole weaponry here involved that has data-driven supplementation and lifestyle things that we do help. And I think that's missing from the conversation. We're looking at magic bullet that's a form of a medication vaccine that isn't here.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So let's get into it.
Well, first off, Maggie, what I would love to ask you is, if you could kind of explain, I don't know if you can explain this, but what I think that I would like to know is, what's the difference between the common flu and this particular flu? Like, from your view, like what is it? Because I think a lot of people are getting confused. I think a lot of people think this is the Black Plague that's going to kill everybody. But just, from your view, what is it?
Well, from my point of view, at novel infectious agent, we have to think a couple things. Number one is that how contagious is it? How long is a person going to get it? And then the second question is, how deadly is it? So you get factors. The main factor when you think how contagious is it, important, because the higher the level of contagiousness, the more this can become a pandemic, versus some of the other flus that we've seen and viral threats. If they're not highly contagious, even if they're really deadly, the total number that they can affect could be really low. In this particular coronavirus, what we're dealing with is high level of contagiousness and a high number of percentage of death in comparison to other flus, like flu and viruses. So although the number of percentage is still low, when we're looking at coronavirus, of those that are infected, it could be anywhere from 1% to 4% that actually will die from it. The problem is the high level of contagiousness of it, so that the sheer total number of how many people get sick is really high. So a lot of times people think 1% isn't a big number, but if you're looking at even like the city of Portland, where I'm living right now, if there's 2 million people here, none of us have natural immunity to it, and it's a highly infectious agent. If even 50% to 70% of the population get it, you're talking about hospitalizations of like 200, 300,000 people, and how many deaths over a certain period of time. It's a sheer numbers game with the level of contagiousness, including the degree of mortality, that makes this coronavirus particularly dangerous and different. Because we're going to be overwhelmed with sheer numbers, as we've already seen in Italy, in Spain, and to some degree in China.
Yeah. So what is it that we can do right now to boost our immune system? So, like, just suppose you do get it, like, what can we decrease the intensity of it in our own bodies by looking after ourselves? How can, what's the best way that we can do that?
So this is I think to me, obviously the social distancing thing is actually a really big deal. And that is something that is in realm of control. And what I'm seeing right now is many people are getting so stressed out consuming news and media all day long. And there is a really simple thing that you can do to protect you and your family, and that's social distancing. And some of the more difficult conversations that I'm seeing are families where there are people in the family with underlying chronic disease or autoimmune disease or immunocompromised, and they have other family members who need to continue to work and be exposed. That's more the difficult conversation. I see those families having more difficult conversations of do to be separated from people who need to continue to work and be exposed from people who are chronically ill or are immunocompromised. So I think they're depending on what sector of the population that you're in, but respecting social distancing and looking at your own unique situation to see how it applies to you and the people you are exposed to is going to be the really important first step, which many of us are already doing, right? So that's something that is within your circle of control. So social distancing, and everybody's, I know, hearing the detail up the wazoo about this, but I think these individual conversations and situations need to be evaluated, right? Number two is going to be, what are the things that we're doing for self-care? And I can tell you right now, the biggest issue I'm seeing with Corona right now is not necessarily right now the immediate threat of people getting an infection. It is actually the amount of emotional, mental stress that people are in now. We are on the verge, if not already, in a mental health crisis for a lot of people. And this is, I see, the biggest threat to our immunity. I repeat, the mental health crisis that we are in and going into is the biggest threat to our immunity. And that's why I'm looking at you guys, and I'm looking at the mental health providers, I'm looking at people that are looking at meditation, looking at mindset coaching, all sorts of work that's really helped people prevent a mental health breakdown in themselves. I think it's really key right now. And I think about, there's so many ways with which you could do that. And of course, a breathing practice routine that you guys are doing is on the top of my list. And I've worked with you guys for the last 6 months, and I know the importance of this in my own health as well. I look at, routine is really important. And I think that having these practices to think about mental health is really important. But I think the most effective way that we can actually boost our immunity right now is looking at routine. And look at eating routine, okay? Eating routine is something I really think is important because we need to really bookend. Some people are finding it very difficult to eat. Some people are overeating. What I do know is everybody's hoarding food. There's a lot of people hoarding food, and the type of food they're hoarding is the worst kind of shit they shouldn't eat.
Thank you for saying that, Maggie.
I mean, it's eating toilet paper, Maggie. I think they're holding that.
It's like toilet paper and chips. Wow, that's really gonna carry you through.
Pasta and tomatoes.
Pasta, and I know pasta, ramen noodles, and are what we're seeing. Most people are grabbing for, and I really think that we really should think about just making sure you eat regularly, but think about food diversity, right? And the more color of foods you get on plate, thinking of fruit, vegetables, even if they're frozen or canned, okay? Fruit, vegetables, meat, protein. If you don't eat meat, you can eat other sorts of protein. But I'm saying that look at the color on your plate. I would like to see at least 3 to 5 colors on each person's plate at each meal, because color equals the nutrients that you need to boost your immune system. Color equals the variety of color on your plate equals how much the level of immune system health you have. So think about it. Even throw oranges on your plate, which orange is, to me, a really thing you can store a long time. If you buy oranges right now, it can last for like a month in your fridge, right? And it is filled with vitamin C, huge in boosting what we call natural killer cells. And killer cells really identify kill viruses in your body, right? And why not get that on a regular basis, thinking about fruit, thinking about vegetables? I mean, and thinking about food storage and limited choices right now, orange is a really great way to go because it's packed full of vitamin C. And that goes along to me with supplementation. I mean, this is why, I mean, there's a shortage of quality vitamin C because the kind of doses people need to help prevent or treat some of these symptoms is fairly high. So getting one your stomach can tolerate is going to be really important. That's why in our store right now, it's been like, I've been on the phone in meetings in the last 20 hours just to keep our antiviral collection up because sourcing material shortages, it's a real problem. But I want to educate people that vitamin C is a wonderful way. And in fact, government and doctors in China are already telling citizens to actually take vitamin C to really boost their immune system. But you can do that through food as well. So make sure, like, oranges are really great. Make sure that if you have a variety of fruit and vegetables, even if they're frozen or canned, I'll take it. And if you go in the frozen aisle and the frozen aisle is empty, go to the fresh produce aisle and take it home and freeze it yourself. Okay, so look at where the opportunities are to get food, and you have to be like, that's the only, oh, it's out in the frozen, I'm done. No, go to the fresh, because they'll get a shipment of apples in. If that's the best thing that you got right now, fruit, then you can freeze apples. You can chop them up, freeze them, go ahead. I mean, I really want people to get creative about how to continue to keep the variety on their plate. Remember, the more colors there are on your plate, the better your immune system is. And this goes on your kids' plate as well. A plate of pasta that's just red and white is nothing. It's very little boosting of your immune system. But man, if you add a bunch of herbs and you add parsley or cilantro on it, even if it's dried, okay, that's adding additional color. You know, if you want to drizzle additional olive oil on it, you know, that's really great. Instead of just tomatoes, why not, if you have any sort of other vegetables that have color, add it to your sauce. This is going to be easy, right? So, you know, and instead of, if you see green cabbage, fine, buy green cabbage. But if you see purple cabbage, buy the purple cabbage and add color and variety, and that's going to boost your immune system. So food variety is going to be really important here. And what better time it is, learn actually how to cook something new, or engage your children and your family in cooking with you. This is a time for new habits, new routines, new skills.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I might even have to go live more when I'm cooking, like you do.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, Maggie. It's like all the things that we know that we should be doing for ourselves now have become really relevant, right? Like,
yes,
you know, like none of the stuff that you're saying is anything that you wouldn't say to somebody normally. It's just that now is the time for you to really take notice of how you're doing your food and how you're doing your self-care.
Yeah, I agree with you, because I think I've been, you know, I love cooking live, Angie. I'm a foodie, and I've been doing this, you know, in our Facebook group, on our YouTube channel. About 2 weeks ago, I did my ultimate immune boosting soup. And it literally is things that I got out of my pantry and out of my freezer, and the ultimate immune boosting soup. But I've been talking about the incredible value of soup or bone broth for ages, right? But now people realize, whoa, the collagen from bones really helps the mucus membranes in your gut, ear, and throat be healthy and defensive against invaders, right? Collagen is more important than ever. And it's not just collagen, vitamin A, guys, vitamin A, something we find in carrots, or you can get in supplementation right now, known to actually boost mucosal defense. Huge, okay? And now as functional medicine doctors, we're using vitamin A in antiviral regimens, and we're using it in helping leaky gut and gut infection regimens. Why are we not using this right now to harness the power of that in our diet and supplementation? So in my immune boosting soup, tons of carrots, and you know, and I'm taking vitamin A as well. But the carrots are really great for vitamin A, but it's also really great to add prebiotics. And I want to tell you guys, fruit and fiber right now, these fiber and vegetables are great prebiotics. And I want you guys to hear why prebiotics are so important. So many of you are thinking about, oh, we should get good bacteria in our gut, which is great. And you take these expensive probiotics, but they don't have anything to feed them to stick or grow. So prebiotics feed good gut bacteria so they stay. So for every capsule you have, think about it, you take a capsule, right? And if 3 days later, 7 days, it's already gone, it's kind of useless. But if you ate prebiotics on a regular basis, it feeds them. Every capsule that you take is going to grow more and more and more. Pretty soon, your gut is filled with these good guys, and they're your best defense lining, your mucosal lining against any sort of invaders. So a lot of this, I'm not shitting you right now. This whole, any fruit, vegetables, and variety of that you can get into your kids and your diet right now is bumping up prebiotics huge. And this is the first line of defense that we have that we know works. This is data-driven stuff that works, that we know we should have done, but now is vital and crucial.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? And it takes something like this to have people take action. So let me just make sure I repeat back what you were saying. So the prebiotics, the best place to get the prebiotics is through the fruit and vegetables, because it's the fiber that's in the fruit and vegetables that feed the probiotics that you take. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely right. And so more plant fiber you eat, the more prebiotics you're doing, because these bacteria, they're fermenters. They love to take the fiber and then use it to ferment and then make all the good stuff that protects you and your gut and your mucus lining. So yeah.
Maggie, what about vitamin D? A lot of people talk about vitamin
yes.
D. You know, I mean, we're big advocates of sunlight, and we know that viruses don't like UV light as well. You know, where else can we be sort of, and is vitamin D a good thing to be bolstering right now?
Vitamin D, holy hell, is to me. So I think about the holy hell must-have vitamins, the 3, and that's why it's in our antiviral pack right now. Is the D, the A, and the C. If you're looking at the Power Punch 3 antiviral, vitamin D really is. And vitamin D, I can go on forever, but I can tell you right now that I use it in my population, autoimmune, a lot to help boost and balance their system. And it's for not just autoimmune, immunocompromised, but everybody else as well. Vitamin D isn't even a vitamin, it's a hormone. It's a freaking hormone. And there is a vitamin D receptor on every cell of your body. I don't care if it's hormone making, your mood making cells, your blood sugar balancing cells, your mucosal cells. They have a vitamin D receptor on it. When I see people get levels of vitamin D, everything changes. And yet 99% of the population that get tested, if they're lucky for vitamin D, are deficient. And so for me right now, we already know that if you put your, let's say if you can't do laundry and you put your clothes out, it actually causes, it helps clear the virus from your clothes, right? So we know sunlight already, the ultraviolet light already helps. But it also, sunlight activates the vitamin D in your body to activate vitamin D and help you make more, okay? For me, the ways to boost vitamin D is just take it right now. If you can get your hands, which, you know, we carry a 5,000, we carry a 10,000. I think right now, given the antiviral threat that we're dealing with, everybody should be at least on 5,000. You know, I think that our adults, kids, I would say more like 2,000. And that's easy to get your hands onto, and I would do that. Get some sun, be outdoors. That social distancing doesn't mean you can't be in the sun. Go outdoors, man. Get yourself and your family out there at least 20 minutes to an hour every single day. And then number 3 is fish. Believe it or not, fatty fish contain a good level of vitamin D. This is the time to, I think, fill your freezer. The TikTok video and the Instagram video I did today was just how I used my frozen lox from, which is smoked salmon, cold smoked salmon from Costco. I have packs of it frozen in my freezer, and I eat a couple slices of that every single morning along with my breakfast. So I get like this fatty, delicious fish available to me, no matter, you know, what the shortages are. These are storable forms of fish, which would be dry smoked salmon, cold smoked salmon, right? Frozen fish into your freezer. Canned, you can get canned sardines right now. Everybody's getting the Doritos and the chips. Nobody's getting the canned sardines.
Why?
Come on.
I'm going to Sardina and I'm like, hell yes, right? Booyah. Because if you could think about this, if you could get canned sardines, which are chock full of omega-3s, which is what you need to boost your immune system. That's another thing. Good fish oil. That's like, people are making a run in our store for that as well. Good fish oil is the other way to get more omegas in. Omega-3s are known to boost your immune system. But these fatty fish also have vitamin D, the omegas in it. And if you get canned ones that are packed in olive oil, guess what? Olives also have antiviral, antibacterial activity. So, whoa, literally taking my can of sardines and you know what? If nothing else, chop it all up and throw it on your spaghetti sauce. Nobody will know the difference, man. And you just increase the immune impact of your meal about 1,000-fold by doing that.
Wow, that is a great kind of microphone drop.
What about the classics? You know, we hear about turmeric or curcumin all the time.
Oh gosh, thank you. I love you. So, oh my gosh, you cannot spice your food enough right now. I'm telling you, the herbs and spices that you're going to cook with literally boost the immune boosting effect of your food.
Yeah, because we've got a few people like Steve Beatty. He's put in turmeric as well, and
turmeric is amazing, which is why that's the other thing is everybody's thinking just these 3 vitamins. Turmeric is really incredible, and cumin is really incredible because it is such a detoxifier. It helps your liver. It really helps your liver detoxify, take toxins out of you. It really helps boost your immune cells. It's anti-inflammatory, so it decreases inflammation. So I take you could do curry powder, you could do cumin powder. You can take, if you can get your hands on fresh turmeric, don't grate it, put it into anything. Like if you just think about pasta sauce, why the heck can't you put some cumin in there? Anything. In my immune boosting soup, I literally go like this with my giant can of cumin. It's really important. The other one is ginger, guys. You cannot do enough ginger right now. And ginger stores well. Come on, get your hands on some ginger. And if you can't get it, there are tubes of ginger. There are powder of ginger. Get some ginger, people, and throw it onto literally everything. And if you can drink it, take the ginger and take ginger powder and throw it, lemon and ginger and manuka honey in a tea. It's going to be like huge for boosting your immune system. This is shit you can do now.
Yeah, well, see, what we do is we've got like a little of cold and flu soup or like tea that we make where we chop up the turmeric and the ginger and garlic and lemon and boil it up together and for like 20 minutes and then we drink that with a little bit of manuka honey. Is that like what you're talking about, something similar?
Yeah, that is what I'm talking about. And the interesting thing is some people, a lot of times when we're talking about garlic, thinking that all things antibacterial is going to work for antiviral. And garlic is really great more against bacteria. You know, so, but at the same time, you know, keeping bad bacteria out is also not a bad idea anyway. So and some people don't like to drink the garlic, but again, garlic can be frozen. It is good more better as an antibacterial, more of a detoxer. It's certainly not bad, but it's not the top of my list for antiviral. The ones that I'm listing right now are the best for antiviral, would be more like the cumin, the ginger. The other thing, cinnamon and cayenne.
Yes.
Cinnamon and cayenne. Don't forget those 2 things because they improve circulation, okay? Think about if you circulate a lot of blood flow and fluid to your mucosal and sinuses, you bring your immune cells there. So you're actually getting a free way for your army to go to the location that's needed by increasing and improving circulation. This is the time to improve circulation with movement, with exercise, but also with herbs and spices, man. Get your cayenne on and get your cinnamon on wherever you can.
Living the spice life.
What about mushrooms, Maggie? What about medicinal mushrooms? What sort of mushrooms and why mushrooms? Because we take them, and I kind of know a little bit, but can you explain a little bit more about
your thoughts on
turkey tail or reishi or these mushrooms that are around right now?
They are really incredible. We are finding that one of the biggest stimulators of some of these immune cells, white blood cells that we're talking about, are factors that are in mushrooms. So we are finding tons of uses. The research is exploding on mushrooms, and it can be helpful for ADD and in autoimmunity. I have found that it is incredibly, for 99% of people with autoimmunity, incredibly helpful to help balance their immune system. And they're specifically, look at the reishi mushrooms. I personally have used reishi mushroom or maitake mushroom in certain protocols I have dealing with Epstein-Barr virus, dealing with chronic fatigue syndrome, and people with fibromyalgia. And so my personal experience, especially with maitake mushroom and reishi mushrooms, have been incredible in the population I'm dealing with, which is people with compromised immune systems, right? So, and you can eat mushrooms. And so if you can get your hands on fresh mushrooms, it doesn't even matter what kind of mushrooms they are. I think in my immune boosting soup and in what I made this morning, I did a video on it this morning. I chop anywhere you can chop mushrooms in there, go for it, do it. The other thing is mushrooms is a great way to get vitamin D in. And if you just take your mushrooms and put it by your window where there's sun, and even for half a day, leave your mushrooms there, they will generate a ton more vitamin D. The mushrooms will naturally make more vitamin D. So I have some patients who can't, it's rare, but some people who are allergic to mushrooms. And what I've done is have them put their mushrooms at the window, and they've boosted their vitamin D load huge because they can't tolerate any other way. This is a secret weapon, guys, to get your vitamin D on. Get some mushrooms on your window.
Because
let's get your vitamin D and get it on.
Is it the same? They breathe through the skin or something like that,
yes.
isn't it?
I think you were telling me that they actually breathe oxygen like we do.
Yes.
Like they're the only sort of plant material that do that. So that's
now, Maggie, I've heard a little bit about Propolis right now. People are talking about Propolis, as far as antiviral. Can you talk a little bit about like what Propolis is and what it does?
So there's a lot of different herbs that have been shown to actually help cold and flu and upper respiratory infections. So propolis is one of them. Another one is andrographis. Licorice root is the other one. Olive extract is another one. And EGCG, and L-theanine, which are the active ingredients in green tea. There is a lot of data to actually support the use of these herbs in there's history, first of all, with traditional Chinese medicine, but there's actually a lot of data, which is why for me in our store right now, the products that I've been educating people about, right when you get sick, you want to take it as early as possible. So these herbs like propolis, andrographis, some of these EGCG that we have, some of these known herbs with good studies behind it, you want to have it on hand at home. You don't want to wait till you're sick and say, what the hell should I take? Okay. So some of the vitamins we're talking about is good prevention, right? So the A, the D, the C's. But when I think about what if you get sick, what do you want to have in your home? We have a product called Virus Strike right now. And the Virus Strike has like 3 main ingredients that I love. It has the EGCG, which is from the green tea extract. It has, I'm blanking out. It has
everything amazing in it.
It has 3 main things. What am I Oh, here we go. It has elderberry. How the hell did I forget elderberry?
Oh, yes, elderberry.
I've been talking so much. Elderberry, to me, there's just so much history, length of use, safety, and on top of it, studies that are behind it. If you start elderberry right at the first onset of symptoms, super helpful, okay? And there's some literature around some controversy with it, with the autoimmunity, and it just I don't see any case studies that says that's true, that correlates with real data that says that these are real cases that are happening and it's a problem. This happened years ago with echinacea with the autoimmune population as well. But what I'm telling you is, like Virus Strike for me, and I work with the autoimmune population, we have elderberry in it, we have the olive leaf extract in it, when we have the EGCG in it. You want products like that, along with, if you can't get a hold of Virus Strike, let's say, you could look at products that have andrographis, propolis. These are, a lot of these are traditional Chinese medicine herbs that have really shown antiviral effect. Some of these herbs have actually even been shown in studies that for people on prednisone, which are immunosuppressed, that it has helped decrease the duration and severity of cold and flu symptoms in them. So I'm not talking little, small nothings. These are very, very big. These are, relatively big studies for supplementation that really have shown proof positive that this stuff works.
Is there anything that's contra to, like if anyone does get sick with this virus, or is there anything that right now that's contra to maybe what people think that could be dangerous for them to do if they
Where do you start?
Such a good question, because believe it or not, the thing that I'm finding to be more challenging is actually the medicines we have on the shelf right now. Typically when people have a fever, we think about giving Advil or we think about giving Tylenol. And I did a whole video on YouTube. If you check out my YouTube channel on the video, because it's about NSAIDs, Tylenol, and fevers, dealing with cold and flu. And fever's there for a reason, guys. We want fever there to actually kill viruses in your body. Viruses don't like higher temperatures, and it's your natural defense. But yet we are encouraging people to take like Advil, aspirin, Motrin for this kind of stuff. And what we're finding is that there are some anecdotal reports out of other countries that this can be causing worsening of symptoms, or it may potentially not. It potentially could be performing worsening of symptoms. And there aren't large double-blind studies to tell us that right now, but these are anecdotal reports. Coming as a functional medicine doctor, I can tell you right now, we already know Advil and naproxen causes stomach ulcers because it messes up the mucosal lining of your gut. So think about that. And this is a virus that invades your mucous membrane. Why do you want to mess with your mucosal membranes, right? So for me, like, I definitely wouldn't be like, if it's a fever that's not really bothering you and it's less than like 103, don't even bother medicating it. Let your body kill the virus. And if you have to medicate, I definitely wouldn't do the NSAIDs, anti-inflammatories like the Advil and stuff. And then people say, well, second choice is Tylenol. Yeah, I would say second choice if you're going to go medication route would be Tylenol, but don't long-term use Tylenol either, because from a functional medicine standpoint, I know that there's so many pathways that Tylenol affects short-term and can long-term, that really affects the way your liver detoxes your body. So, it's the lesser of the two evils to me. And if you really are worried about a child with, let's say, febrile seizures, and you really want to keep it low in your child, if I always had to have a choice, I probably would do Tylenol, but personally, I wouldn't medicate a child for fever unless I have to. In my video, I actually go through all these different ways that you can lower fever without medication. That's even more effective, And so check out the YouTube video that I did on fever and COVID. There's so many natural ways to actually drop fever without medication. Sometimes in this particular case, the medication can sometimes be causing more harm. It's so interesting. Everybody wants a silver bullet in terms of medication, but right now there is no magic bullet in medication. I'm glad there's tons of trials going on with hundreds of different things trying it out, but that's not where the magic bullet at this moment lays.
Yeah, that's a fabulous response. In fact, I'll go find that video and I can even share it here within the group. And just before we wrap up, if anyone's got any questions, you can post it in there in the comments. But I wanted to ask you, so really important. Like, I love from a medical perspective how you share how the medications are actually working against you right now in this current climate. And it's so interesting because it's like the best thing for us is what Mother Earth gave us, which is your plants, your fruits, your vegetables, and even your essential fats found in the fishes and bone broths and meats and these sorts of things. What do you have to say about those that are vegetarian? How can they still get essential fats?
Yeah, it's really fascinating because it is more of a challenge. Believe it or not, the nuts and seeds is a really good way actually for vegetarians to get those essential fats in and even omegas in. And walnuts particularly, it's actually a really good source. But I mean, I look at every bowl and everything that I eat. I literally, in my kitchen, I have a row of nuts and seeds in bottles that are sitting there. So for any reason I throw in the seeds and nuts. You can think about things like hemp hearts. Think about things like, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds. I mean, you can get chia seeds in bulk still right now. Nobody's making a run on chia seeds. Make chia pudding, people. It's chock full of omegas for you. And it's and I make chia pudding with like coconut cream and coconut milk, so it's like this good fat bowl of goodness that's filling, and it's not this carb fest. That sugar is what is feeding viruses, guys. And yet we're buying chips, pasta, bread, noodles, right? Sugar feeds viruses. Okay, so anything you can do to up your ratio of protein, fat, and fiber rather than the carbohydrate is going to be the best protection you can do for you and your family.
Yeah, I encourage people to go and watch your YouTube channels, or even get on your Facebook to watch some of you cooking. I love it. In fact, you're inspiring me to start doing the same. But you've got some amazing recipes. I'll make sure to put in the comments here how people can find you as well. Now, I wanted to circle around to you talking, how we're talking about mucosa. and how this, I want to talk about respiratory health as well with you. You know, what is it? Because this is primarily, it kind of like the virus feeds, they're saying, that in the mucosa, in the lungs. And, you know, I would love to talk a little bit more about that and your perspective on that.
So we really want to think about lung support right now. And it's interesting because we're entering in the United States allergy season, and where a lot of people will be affected with sinus or lung issues. And this is a particularly vulnerable population, because if you're having inflammation and allergic reaction in that area with high histamines in that area, you're going to be uniquely compromised to be infected, more at risk for that, and more risk for developing complication for it, because there's mucus in that area and inflammation in that area. So I think about breathing, the breath work that you guys are doing to maintain and improve your lung capacity is something physical and vital you should do every day. I love that you guys have a course, Breathing for Turbulent Times, right now. I think I want everyone to do that course to build their stress resiliency, but also their lung capacity. I think this is really important, is actually physically doing breath work, number one. Number two is that you want to make sure that you decrease as much allergy load as possible. So if you're indoors right now, if you have a HEPA, if you have a home filter, HEPA filter, I would definitely be using that right now. But supplementation wise, there's a product in our store called Sinuplex that I freaking love right now, because I have asthma as well. My kids have allergies, and the key ingredients that are super helpful in that product in our store right now is the quercetin and stinging nettle. Quercetin, stinging nettle, NAC, bromelain. These are some ingredients that are really, really crucial for anybody dealing with an allergic situation right now, whether it's allergies or asthma or even eczema on the skin. If you use these herbs to your benefit, you can decrease the histamine load and therefore improve your body's response to a viral infection. Okay, so you could decrease the level of inflammation that's there, because if your asthma is already going crazy right now and you add a viral infection on top of it, you're toast, right? Don't be toast. Get ahead of this. And do everything I just told you.
Oh, fabulous. That's great. And what about so there's a lot of people that have like chronic postnasal drips or sinus infections, and it's kind of like comes with the seasons and these sorts of things. So getting the supplementation, does going outside also help them? I mean, even though they're going outside and exposing to histamines, does that still help them?
Going outside is wonderful. And you're talking about, and that's for anybody. I mean, I don't think people with asthma and allergies or anybody should be missing their outdoor time right now. And the outdoors is so important because you already know that, I mean, just listening to the sound of the ocean, listening to the birds chirp, and movement is huge. I mean, in our program, and tonight we have an interview right now in our Facebook group and YouTube that's premiering right now, where I interview a movement specialist on MELT method and why in-home movement and outdoor movement moves your lymph channels. So lymph is your body's natural system for moving these infectious cells away from your body and out towards waste. So movement moves lymph. And if you guys missed that interview, make sure you go to my Facebook page, drmaggieu.com, my website, drmaggieu.com. Go to my Facebook page, go to my YouTube channel right now, and see why movement is so important in boosting your immune system. And there's simple things you can do in the home, but going outdoors is free, right? Going outdoors, you get the vitamin D in, you get the fresh air in, you get the sound in, you get movement in. There is nothing wrong with us. And right now, that fresh air is also really great to, overall, it's like, we need it. I mean, and for our mental health even, right? Mm-hmm. Cooping up in the house right now is not the best idea. I would take advantage of going outside as much as you possibly can.
Open into the expanse. Now, it's really great because there's a Steve Beatty in our group did also mention water, and I think you just did a water challenge recently. Oh my God, I know, how could we miss that one? Can you please share with me more about the importance of water and and like especially right now, and how much people should be having?
It's just ridiculous. I'm going to give you, in my group, we did a water challenge, and I wanted to give you guys, I'll give you guys a really simple formula for it. Take your body weight in pounds, divide it by half. Okay. That's a really simple formula. So if you're 140 pounds, it's 70 ounces. But I like to add to it that for any 30 minutes of exercise, you want to add 8 ounces. 8 ounces. For any caffeinated beverage like coffee that you drink or alcoholic beverage, you want to add those additional ounces because it dehydrates that much from you. So that's the amount of water that you need. But more than ever, think about this: keeping your mucosal membranes moist and clean is what prevents the infection and what deals with it. Because I mean, and we look, guys, we don't have double-blinded studies on the coronavirus right now. Everything I'm telling you refers to cold and flu, what we know works. But think about this logically. If you have, if the virus has time to sit on the back of your throat or in your mouth, how likely, much more likely are you to get it? Versus if you're drinking water throughout the day and you're washing it down, it goes to stomach acid. That's what stomach acid is there to kill bacteria and viruses. It's a protection mechanism. So you want to get your germs down there. So you want to drink throughout the day. It's really important. And when you drink, you thin your mucus. When you thin your mucus, it keeps it healthy and easy to move. Whereas really thick mucus, stuff sticks to it and just sits there. You know, you don't want silly putty and for stuff to just stick on and sit there. You want that mucus that's easily movable, washable, with the little cilia hairs that move it out of the way, letting your body's natural mechanism to be antiviral and clean out all those viruses and bacteria. So there's a million things I could say with water. So we could do a totally separate interview just on water alone, and there's a million ways with which you could get water in. And on my COVID playlist in the YouTube channel, I think one of the videos I really talk about the role of water as well and how many different ways you can get water in as well.
So I'm going to add just at the end of all this post, all the resources, including the store that you just shared with me about where people can get some of these supplements that you're talking about as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I think is really good. I mean, if you're stuck at home and you want to go shopping, you might as well buy things that are going to help you. You know?
Yeah. So. And I will share with you guys also the link to on our channel, our COVID playlist.
Yes.
And then that way they can watch all the videos that I've already done so far. With you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really great. That's great. So is there anything else Steve Beatty also mentioned, which we didn't even mention, is that, breathing correctly helps boost it's like a pump for the lymphatic system. So it helps to remove the waste from the cells. So that, like what you were saying about movement, breathing, water, vegetable fibers, all of these things. Is there anything else that you can think of that you think would be of use to our listeners today?
Sleep. Sleep.
It is a simple thing, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, sleep. This is how your immune system renews itself. So if you don't sleep, you can't defend yourself against anything and you can't cope with anything. Emotional, physical, immune resiliency depends on sleep. And that's, if I think that would be a great topic for another interview. Would be talking about, for me, there's some bookending routines that are, and things that you can do in the morning for a morning routine. And then there's bookending at the end of the day for sleep. That's going to be crucial as well. And so those are some other videos, great ideas I'm going to be adding to the COVID playlist on my YouTube channel.
Good. Well, thank you for mentioning that. And I think if anybody needs to reach out and needs some help with sleep, I know you've got a lot of movement stuff. I love your bookend stuff because I know you talk about food for sleep as well, like food that helps you sleep. And I got inspired by the bookend strategy that you were talking about. And that's where we created that in the Breathe Through Turbulent Times, that bookend, like morning and evening. But I like how you talk about different routines. There's movement routines, there's eating routines, there's breathing routines, there's all of these routines. So it's like self-care. If you were to distill everything into one, I know that there's food, sleep, water, self-care, there's a lot of things. Like if someone goes, oh my gosh, where do I start? What would be your number one recommendation of where do they start first?
5 minutes of news a day. That's it.
5 minutes of what?
News. Only watch the news 5 minutes a day.
Yeah, so don't get caught up in more than that.
The biggest crisis that's coming up is a mental health crisis.
Yeah.
And so for me, helping people focus on their circle of control is going to be the challenge most of us who are working in the healthcare space is going to be working with. So I really think people really should try to limit as best they can the amount of time in front of any sort of media where they're consuming news to just 5 minutes a day. And your immune system, your family, your mental health is going to thank you 1,000-fold.
I agree. I agree. Thank you for this, Maggie, and thank you for your time that you've spent with us here. I've personally have gotten a lot of value out of this too, and I'm glad I'm able to ask all the questions that I need to. I will, like I said, I'll put all the resources to find you in the comment section here. And again, thank you for your time. Maggie, I always enjoy talking with you, and you always have some extraordinary information that's coming from both a holistic and medical perspective, and that is gold to me. So thank you for your time, Maggie. I really appreciate it.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, stop the live stream. And I could probably stop the recording.
Man, you pimped me.
Lupus, lung fibrosis,
Hashimoto's thyroiditis,
fibromyalgia, AS, which is a form of arthritis,
Epstein-Barr, extremely fatigued.
pretty much zero joint pain.
Much more happy.
I don't have brain fog anymore. How much weight I have lost.
I want to see remission.
Maggie and her approach is very different than the traditional doctor.
I'm a totally different person.
I got a better understanding of what those intolerances were.
You're not alone.
The community is, I'm learning from everyone else's issues.
It's not just helped me, it's helped my entire family.
We are transformed.
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 Join the movement and transform your autoimmune naturally today.